What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Sactown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason, and we are back again doing our top 10 films of the year series. If you caught any of our previous shows, once again, we started from 2005, and now we've rolled our way all the
Wait,
way up.
what?
Oh, I'm sorry, 1995. Yeah, 1995.
Yeah, just
No,
10 years there.
Yeah, 1995, we rolled our way all the way up to 2012. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
It's the series that will never end.
The series that just keeps on coming. So,
yeah.
But like I said, the good news is that we've already done 2020 and we've already done 2019. So we only have to do 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And then we're good to go.
And those are all two shows. So.
Yeah, those are all two shows. And then we're done. And then we don't have to do any more top 10s until, 2021's over.
Yeah.
Which is starting off to be a pretty good year, actually. So a lot of films I've liked so far. Yeah. So I say without further ado, man, we got a lot of films to cover, so I say we just get right into it. So before we actually get into our countdown, so if this is your first time joining us, once again, for part 1 of 2012, we will do our number 10 through number 6. And then we come back for another show where we'll do our number 5 through number 1, and then hopefully with some honorable mentions as well. But in this show, before we actually get into our real top 10, we actually assign each other challenge films. So Jason assigned me a film that I hadn't seen that he has seen, and I assigned him a film that he hadn't seen that I'd seen. So I'm going to kick it off with the film that he chose for me, which was Room 237. So I'm going to talk about that one for just a brief moment. So Room 237 is basically, and I probably, won't describe this the best, but it's basically about a bunch of over-analytical film nerds that basically took the movie The Shining and basically break down the film frame for frame and basically come up with all these, maybe truths, maybe conspiracy theories about Stanley Kubrick and the elements that he included into The Shining. We're talking things like, if you pause the movie at the very beginning, there is a picture of Stanley Kubrick in the clouds, that kind of stuff. So very, some things in there I could see. There's an image here of Room 237. I'll give you an example that it's a picture of the floor, which is said to be a phallic symbol. So for example, that I can see. Stanley Kubrick's face in the clouds, no matter how many times I pause it, I don't see that.
Yeah.
We're also the same people that one of the guys says, I'm not saying that we never went to the moon. I'm just saying that the images that we saw of the moon landing was faked and it was made by Stanley Kubrick. Example. And that's pretty much the gist of what the film is about. They basically just go through the film, overanalyze it. They remind me of the people that, if you go to like IMDb, Internet Movie Database, and you look up a film, if you scroll down to the bottom of the film, they have goofs. And there's all these like errors that are made in films. And there's literally a host of people that just watch films looking for errors. Most of them are like cutting for continuity, that kind of stuff like that. So like, they shot at different times of the day and that kind of thing. So the clouds don't look the same from this frame to this frame, that kind of stuff. That's what these people are basically. These are the kind of people that probably just don't enjoy watching the film just for what it is. They're going to go super into it and analyze it in every which way. My overall take is I didn't care for it so much. It just, I don't know. I just didn't care for it. A lot of it was just conspiracy theory. There might've been some truth to some of the stuff, but a lot of it was just, way overanalyzed, way too much. And it's like, you're not even having fun watching the movie. You're just picking little parts that if you freeze this second, if you freeze a frame for this second, you can see, an intentional, obviously purposely phallic symbol that was made on this box, you know what I mean? And you're just like,
the file, like the file basket or whatever on the desk. Hilarious.
It just kind of turned me off because a lot of it was just not, unfounded, and I gotta imagine that half of the stuff that they found just wasn't wasn't legit or true. There might have been some truths to it, but a lot of the stuff I didn't jive with. I didn't think that it was. And there was like this stuff about all this like Nazism and stuff like that that Kubrick was obviously against, being Jewish. So supposedly he chose this film to bring all these like nuances about anti-Nazism, but they were like, but he couldn't confront it head on, so he had to do it in like all these suggestive ways. But they named like 50 different ways that he supposedly brought it into the film, and I'm just like, I don't know. At some point, I just kind of lost interest, and it was just it just got kind of just stale for me in terms of not believable, because I couldn't believe a lot of the stuff, and so I just kind of was checked out by midway through. I was just kind of waiting for it to finish, so just wasn't for me. I just it's just not a fun way for people to go through and analyze, because you can literally do that with every film. You could literally find a group of people that can find any film and splice it up and find little subtle nuances in the film that the director threw these little hidden, and I don't mind Easter eggs. I don't mind you pause a film, you pause a Friday the 13th film, and then the freeze frame, there's an image of Freddy Krueger in the background or something of that nature. That's cool. I like that kind of stuff. But all these other things, all these symbolisms and things of this nature, I felt like they were just kind of a reach for a lot of them. And so it just kind of turned me on when I clearly realized that a lot of these things were unfounded and were reaching. So for me, I just couldn't jive with it. So it didn't do much for me, unfortunately, because of that. So.
Oh man, sorry. I absolutely love this movie. I don't know if I should talk about it now or wait until, because spoiler alert, it's in the bottom half of my top 10. So I can talk about it now, or I can talk about it. I can talk about it now, or I can talk about it later. What do you think's best?
Clearly you loved it, but you can just talk about it, I guess, when you bring it in your top 10, when we can refresh what you liked about it, I guess. So it was more. This is more my opinion on it. So you can talk about it when you bring it in. But I didn't like it for those reasons. It was just too much reaching for me. So it would have been really interesting if they just narrowed it down. And it felt a little long. It's like an hour and 40 minutes long. It felt a little long for me, and so I was just kind of like on and on and on about all this conspiracy. And that's all it is. It's just an hour and 40 minutes of conspiracy theories about the film. And I don't know. It got repetitive and just redundant after a while. And so I just didn't care anymore. I was just kind of checked out midway through, because a lot of it was just unfounded. A lot of it, even if there was something that was really cool, they would follow up with something that was really stupid. You know what I mean? So I just kind of checked out after a certain point. So just not for me.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, you can definitely talk about it when, you.
In a few minutes.
In a few minutes here. So. Yeah. And then you had a homework assignment that I assigned to you. Which almost everybody's seen except for you, but we'll bring that in nevertheless.
I don't know about that.
It's pretty popular. It's a pretty big hit, and I don't know why it's in. I must have downloaded the wrong version. But anyways, it's the Bourne Legacy. It's got like Japanese writing for some reason. I couldn't see that on. I downloaded it. So,
but nice job, Kier.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, we just recorded a show before this about, our year anniversary doing this. And part of that discussion was our differences in our tastes. We agree a lot, we disagree a lot. So this is a perfect illustration of Room 237 being a movie that I love and you checked out halfway through, and The Bourne Legacy being an example of a movie that you loved that I was checked out halfway through. So, I mean,
I will say this: Bourne Legacy is not in my top 10, so I will say that.
Okay, yeah. I do like the other Bourne movies. I do, and so it's not anything that I have against the Bourne movies, and it's not anything anything I have against Jeremy Renner or any Rachel Weisz or this movie has a great cast. I didn't dislike it. It just kind of. It just didn't do a whole lot for me, and I haven't researched it thoroughly, but I think it was kind of not that this matters, but I think it was kind of considered a flop because that's why it wasn't supposed to be kind of a reboot because Matt Damon wanted to move on to other things, and this was kind of like handing over the reins for a test run for Jeremy Renner, but wasn't a big enough of a hit, so they never carried that storyline on, I thought. I thought that's
Similar
what I
to that, but
remember
there's
reading back in
also
the day.
supposed to be another film where they're both going to be together. So I've heard that theory as well. So they weren't necessarily done with that story. So I'm not for sure. So I'm not for sure
Okay, okay.
with the whole
Like I
thing.
said, not that matters. A lot of movies have been, financial failures that were great. So, but yeah, I mean, like I like the action in this movie, but for me, this one, and it seems to me more so than the other ones, in my estimation anyway. This one, like the balance was tipped a little too far. Like there wasn't enough action, for me. It was the balance seemed to be tipped more in favor of like because these movies always have that. They always like a good chunk of them is a bunch of like very serious people in suits in like rooms full of monitors, like yelling at each other and like all this top level government conspiracy talk. And I'm not interested in that stuff. I can't follow it. I'm not interested in following it really. I always want to get back to the street level action stuff. And the other Bourne movies, I guess the balance is not tipped that far in favor of that, or maybe I just like it more because I like Joan Allen and Julia Stiles. But this time it seemed way too much of Edward Norton yelling at people in dark rooms, and I just wanted to get back to because I really like the Jeremy Renner and the Rachel Weisz stuff. It had kind of a Terminator vibe to me, kind of a Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton on the road, running kind of vibe, and I liked those scenes, and there was some pretty good action in there. But there just wasn't enough. It would always go right back to like the men in the dark rooms yelling at each other about Blackbriar and all this stuff that I just couldn't follow and wasn't interested in really. So I didn't dislike it. It didn't have much of an effect on me either way really. So
Okay, fair enough. Hey.
Sorry, man.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's fine. It wasn't in my top 10, but it's one that I did like. So
Yeah.
it would have rounded up my top 25. I don't know where it ranks. So
And something that I would think would bother you a little bit, and I'm not going to spoil it too much, but like in the last half hour of the movie, they bring in this new character like as an antagonist, and they kind of like, oh, he better watch out, this guy's on his trail, and so you're expecting some like big epic fight at the end or something between them, and it never happens. It's like they introduce this guy, oh, he's like the Antiborn. He's on his way. He's after him, and then it just doesn't happen that way. And normally I like it when a movie throws curveballs or isn't predictable or whatever. But this time I was like, really, they're not gonna throw down. But so again, it goes back to like they're not being enough of the action in there that I was looking for. So
okay, well, fair enough. Hey, different strokes for different folks. So.
Yep.
Cool. Well, sounds like neither one of us loved our challenge films, which is not always 100% surprising, but it's one of those.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
There's probably a good reason a lot of times why we haven't seen those films. So, but
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right. Well, we'll get into our real top 10 if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and kick it off then, since I started with my challenge film. So my number 10 film of 2012 is going to be Dredd, which is a remake of basically Judge Dredd with the old Sylvester Stallone. Only in this one, it stars what's the guy's name?
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. Yeah, exactly. Carl Urban is in this one. And this one's more gritty, whereas Judge Dredd, I felt more I am the law. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cartoony. Yeah, it was a little corny, a little that late 80s, early 90s corniness to it. That a lot of those films had that, Stallone and Schwarzenegger were in around that particular time. This one's way more serious. This one, he's basically tasked with kind of going into like this, and which is interesting because there's foreshadowing. There's another film in my countdown that deals with almost the same topic, where he has to go into like this giant high rise, and basically there's a big baddie boss at the top of the high rise, and they basically have to like kind of fight their way. He has a new trainee rookie with him. And they're both in like this high rise, like fighting their way through like all these like bad people in this building that's like been basically locked down on them. They have to fight their way to like this drug kingpin. This is the top of the building, basically. So it's just a just balls to the wall kind of like action film. And I love that kind of stuff. I love action films in general. A lot of the films in my countdown are going to be action films, but this one I just thought was so much fun. I love the serious tone of it. He pretty much wears the helmet the entire film, so you don't even get to see his face really. I thought that was kind of cool, and I just love how they just go through and they're not only fighting like bad people in the building, they're also fighting like dirty cops that are in the building that also are basically judges, because if you know the story, it's set in the future where basic cops are like judge, jury, and executioner. They basically make a decision whether or not you go to jail, you get arrested, or they just kill you on the spot based on whatever type of crime you committed. So they're basically granted the right to basically decide out there, which is a very scary world to live in, especially what we know about cops today. So they are really the kind of people that you want to be given that kind of power where they can make those kinds of decisions, in my opinion. But nevertheless, a really, really good action film. So if you like a really good action film that is pretty much nonstop, you know what I mean? It's pretty much action from like beginning to end, basically. Especially once they reach the high rise, it just doesn't stop. It's just insane bananas. Lots of death, lots of killing, lots of violence. Right up my alley. So that's my number 10 film of 2012, Dread.
Yeah. I love Dread. In fact, I thought it wasn't released until 2013, so I think it's on my 2013 list from back when
it pops up for 2012 on Imp Awards as well. So that's
yeah.
So I don't know, and I had it in my 2012 countdown also. So
yeah. I don't know why it'd be missing out of mine, because anyway, I love that movie. To me, we're still kind of living in an age where, especially with Marvel and all that kind of stuff, action movies are rarely rated R. You know what I mean? Like, they're all family friendly for the most part, and this movie is brazenly R rated. So I love that. It was kind of a return to like the days of like Predator and Total, the original Total Recall. Yeah. And it's gory. I mean, this movie is gore drenched, and I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, and the style of the movie is great. The music is great. It's just it's an incredible movie for sure. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. I checked IMDb has it 2012. Letterboxd has it 2012 also. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, but you have to check when it got actually released to theaters. So
September.
I mean, it does.
September 2012.
Really? Oh man, I must have just missed it then. I could have sworn that was 2013. Oh well.
Yeah, it says USA September 2012.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have been in my top 10, but it'd been real close.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that is that's my number 10.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, moving along, and like we've had this conversation where we have these discussions where it depends on the placement of the year, but no, that one says 2012 all over the board. So you definitely wrong on that one.
Okay, whatever.
But moving on to your number 10, I'll go ahead and bring that in for you, which is going to be Bernie.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's personally, I think Jack Black should have got an Oscar nomination for this movie. I can't remember if he got. I think he may have gotten a Golden Globe nomination, but didn't win. It's based on a true story. It's something kind of different for him because it is comedy. He gets to do his Jack Black thing a little bit, but he's not like Jack Black all the time like you're used to him being in this movie. He is actually sinking into a character, that's not Jack Black. And I say that loving Jack Black, and whenever he does his Jack Black thing, I love it. But it's a true crime story, which would actually probably go over really well now because everybody loves true crime these days. But it's directed by Richard Linklater, who's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he stars as a mortician or funeral director who moves to this small town and makes friends with an older lady named Shirley MacLaine. And long story short, she ends up dead. And it's kind of, like I said, it's a true crime story about what happened there. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a really entertaining movie. It's funny. but it's also got a lot of drama to it. It's got Matthew McConaughey as the sheriff, if I remember right. It's been a while since I watched it, but it's just a really fun, entertaining, but also dark true crime.
Is he the lawyer or the sheriff?
Is he the lawyer? I thought he was a cop in the movie. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Trying the case. I just watched it recently. I thought he was like in a courtroom trying the case or something like that.
Maybe. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I watched it like at least 3 or 4 times soon after it came out. So, but in any case, he's definitely a supporting character. It's all about Jack Black and Shirley MacLaine, and both of them are great. And it's just a really entertaining movie that I think, I wish it was more well known than it is. It was a little bit of a hit when it came out, on the art house circuit at least. But I think it's kind of disappeared. But it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't know if you were done talking, so I don't want to interrupt you or anything.
Oh,
yeah. No, I like Bernie. It's really, really good. It's in my honorable mentions. I watched it a few months back or whatever. It is really, really good. Like I said, it didn't quite make my top 10, but it is a really, really good movie. It's very, very funny. Like I said, I think it is one of Jack Black's best roles, and that is saying a lot, though, because he's not really the kind of guy that you think of getting like Oscar nominations or anything of that nature. But he is really, really good in there. So I don't know what other films were up that year. It's almost a decade now. I'm not really for sure, but definitely based on the year, I think that he probably deserved some sort of nod. You know what I mean? I don't know if he would have won that year, but it would have been nice to see him get an Oscar nomination for sure. So, that's what I think. That's kind of the harsh reality about any of these award shows that are so subjective, I guess. Is it? I don't know if he gets taken that seriously because he's Jack Black, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know. You know what I mean? I think you put somebody else in that role that is more known for acting. And, not saying that it would have been the same movie or as good or worse or whatever case may be, but maybe, they put on that same performance. Maybe they give a nod. I don't know. I know that's sometimes that's how Oscars are, though. So, you got to have 2 films that are really, really good in a row or something. And then they go, okay, this guy really can act. Let's throw him a bone.
Yeah, I think he did get a Golden Globe nomination, but they have 2 categories there. They have drama and musical or comedy, and this is probably one where they probably stuck it in musical or comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
And and then it just didn't. He didn't make the top 5.
Such a category they're not as broad as the Golden Globes. You have a little bit of an easier shot to win with the Golden Globes for sure, based on that additional category. So,
cool. Right. Yeah.
Good choice. Definitely like that one for sure. So cool. All right, moving on to my number 9. This film wasn't initially in my top 10 that year. It was in my honorable mentions, but I rewatched it about a month or 2 ago and bumped it up. There was another film that I rewatched, and I'll get into that probably in the next show. That I rewatched it. I had actually really, really high. It was in my top 5, and I rewatched it and just didn't like it quite as much the second time around. But this one I watched for the second time around and bumped it up in my top 10, and now it's already number 9. And that film is going to be Safety Not Guaranteed. So, I got such a kick watching it the second time around. It's just this really, really fun film. Stars Aubrey Plaza, and basically she works at like this kind of like a newspaper or like a magazine or something of that nature, and she's kind of an intern there, and they come across this article. There's a guy posted in a magazine or in a newspaper, basically eliciting people to come seek him out about traveling, time travel, basically. And safety is not guaranteed. Your safety is not guaranteed. And so them and a couple other people that work at this advertising agency or whatever, they were this interview agency or whatever they are, they decide to basically go travel and meet this guy and stake him out. And he is just hilarious. It's played by what's his name? Mark. It's
Mark Duplass.
Duplass. Yeah, Mark Duplass.
Yeah.
He is just hilarious in this film. He's really quirky. He says that he built like this time travel machine, and of course they don't believe him, and because he's just really weird and quirky, and he works at like a department store, and just doesn't seem like a really, really necessarily on the up and up educated guy. And so one of the people that she works with tries to basically confront him, or basically say he's interested in the ad, and he basically asks him a couple questions, doesn't believe he's believable, and basically sends this guy packing. So they send her in basically as a female that he might be interested in and might get a little bit more information. And they kind of form like this friendship. So she's like actually going like on these like missions with him, where he's like going like breaking into like warehouses and like stealing parts for his time machine that he's going to travel to the future in. And it's really, really interesting. It's just a funny film. It's just a blast. And I don't know, I watched it, I just loved it. I just had a really, really good time, especially the second time around. It was like one of those films that got better for me the second time watching it, because I'd only seen it that one time in 2012 and I really liked it, but I was like, you know what, I should give this one another go. And when I watched it again, it got even that much better for me. So that is my number 9 film, Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's one I should probably do the same thing, because I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater back then. And I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. But I never went back, and I think it's on Netflix now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I had to pay for it because I did rewatch it on, because I don't own it. I did rewatch it online.
Yeah.
So I think it was Netflix. I doubt that I paid for it. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember liking it a lot. I've always been a fan of Mark Duplass, and I didn't know who Aubrey Plaza was at the time. I think she was on Community, and I never watched Community.
Yeah.
But of course, I love Aubrey Plaza now. In a lot of things,
she's really quirky. She's actually moving up as one of my favorite actresses at this point, because just the films because she gets a lot of the roles, because she's funny, and she's also just slightly weird looking. So she like, based on that, she's got kind of bug eyes a little bit, and she just gets a lot of roles, like just like those quirky type roles. So she's perfect in those types of films that they give her, like the Ingrid Goes West and that sort of thing. She's really good in those types of roles where she gets to be like this, like kind of funny, kind of quirky, like even one of the guys in there, he was like kind of making fun of her, like basically saying that like there's a scene in there where the guy's talking about like following this one of the other guys that's with him. They happen to be in a town where there's this girl that he knew in high school that he was really interested in like dating or whatever, or reconnecting with or whatever. And she was like, yeah, that's gonna just kind of be kind of creepy to like have this guy like follow you and come and find you like 20 years after high school to like be with you. And he's basically like, well, yeah, it would only be creepy if a guy did that for you, because it look at you. You know what I mean? Like, man, you're not attractive. You're not the kind of girl that a guy would do that for. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was definitely a really, really funny one. Definitely one you should rewatch if you haven't seen it in many years, for sure.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to your number 9. We'll go ahead and bring that bad boy in for you. And that is going to be Magic Mike.
Yep. Magic Mike. Yeah, I love this movie. It is directed by Steven Soderbergh, who is one of my favorite filmmakers. An incredibly eclectic and prolific film director. I mean, like, he's quote unquote retired a while ago, and I think he's gotten more prolific after he retired, actually. But this was from a time period that I really liked for him, because he put out 3 movies in less than a year, I think, or like 12 to 14 months or something like that. And that was,
I know he put out 2
Haywire.
Yeah.
He put out Contagion, Haywire, and Magic Mike all in, I think, less than a year. And like, not only did I love all 3 of those movies, but they could not be more different. I mean, they could not be more different, let alone all the kinds of movies he's made the rest of his career. So he's a fascinating filmmaker to me. Magic Mike, I think, was probably my favorite of those 3, though. It is, I think it's interesting, because I think probably a lot of people went to it thinking it was just going to be like, I don't know, Showgirls or Coyote Ugly, something like that. Just like just a silly movie about strippers. But I think what makes this movie interesting is that it's not just that. I mean, to me, this is much more a movie. It's actually it's pretty dark in a lot of ways, and it's not just about like it's basically it's a lot closer to me a movie like Boogie Nights or like Saturday Night Fever, which is about like kind of the hedonistic rush of being young and making your living off of your body and making money and getting laid and all that kind of stuff. But it's also about kind of the dark underbelly of that, the underside, the drugs, the crime, the morning after stuff. So I think in that sense, it's like a really interesting movie, and I think a lot of people who probably went to see it just to see, Channing Tatum ride around, they were probably disappointed that it's actually a lot more of a drama than it is just a, let's look at the sexy people movie. So yeah, I think it's funny. It does have entertainment value, but it's also pretty dark. It's definitely a drama more than a comedy, that's for sure. And the acting is very good. It's just a really good all around movie. So yeah, that's definitely my number 9, Magic Mike. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there is some serious elements to it, but I don't know. It's still pretty much it's about dudes stripping. So that's the gist of it. And they made a sequel, and all the girls at my job were all lined up to see the sequel because I don't think they came away disappointed from watching the first one. I think they went to go see Beefcakes basically. So I disagree with you on that part. I don't think any of them came away disappointed because it was more drama because they all lined up for the Magic Mike XL. It was all nothing but girls. Like, oh, I love the first one. They were all so sexy and hot and yada yada yada. So I don't agree with you on that. And it is a lot of stripping for sure. So,
not really. There's like 3 scenes, and like the rest of it is all like parties and other stuff.
I don't know. It's a male stripping movie. So not for me. So, but yeah, it just wasn't for me. So, but cool. Great choice. Cool. I mean, if I was like a 15-year-old girl, maybe I like it.
Nah, see, it's not like that though, man. I mean, that's like saying like Saturday Night Fever. Saturday Night Fever is just a disco dancing movie. It's not. It's a movie about drugs. It's a movie about suicide. There's a lot more to it than that, I think.
I guess I didn't get those nuances. So, yeah, cool. All right. Well, yeah, that's it. Different strokes. Let us know down in the comments. Is Magic Mike as deep as Jason says it is, or is it primarily just a male stripper movie? We'll see. Cool. All right. Well, moving on. We'll turn the page on that and move on to my number 8 film, which is more similar to my number 10 film, actually, which is going to be The Raid: Redemption, which is another film, basically another action movie. This one's actually a foreign film, Korean. I don't remember.
Thai, I think.
Thai?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe Thai. I can't remember exactly what country. Maybe it is Thai.
Yeah.
Raid Redemption is basically about a group of cops that are basically tasked with going into a high-rise building, kind of like Dredd, to basically take out like a big, drug kingpin at the top of the building. This one, as opposed to Dredd was more. There was like hand-to-hand combat, but it was more like shooting. This one has definitely some shooting, but this is more like martial arts. So it's more about hand-to-hand combat, more fighting. Basically a group of elite, cops are basically tasked. Well, one of them's a rookie. The main guy's a rookie. And there's some spoilers, but there's a reason why he wants to go into that building as well. But they basically go in and you're locked into the building. A group of cops are locked into the building. And they basically have to kind of like fight their way out. And, basically the head kingpin, basically he has all these tenants and basically tells them you'll get free rent if you exterminate the vermin inside of our building. And so basically literally everybody comes out of their like, houses with like machetes and guns and, bats and anything they can get their hand on. And they're basically attacking and trying to kill the cops. And it's just like a fight for your life. nonstop action, basically from beginning to end. And I love those kind of movies, and it's perfect. There is a sequel, which I think is even better. I like the sequel even better, I think.
Oh yeah, easy.
More expansive of a story, but this one is just, if you just want to knock them down, fight, edge of your seat for hour and a half or whatever, however long the running time is, this is definitely the movie for you. Just great action, great fight sequences, and just a lot of fun. Like I said, it is foreign language. There is a dub version as well. I can't remember if I saw a foreign language or a dub version in theaters. I don't remember. I can't remember.
I think it was dubbed. I think
been dubbed, but it didn't bother me one bit. They improved the dub on the second one, I think. But no, just a really, really fun, great action film, great martial art film. So that is my number 8 film, The Raid Redemption.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like that movie a lot. Although I do think the sequel is way better than the first one. I like the first one, but like you said, the second one has a lot more, a larger story, even better action scenes and stuff like that. So yeah, I like the first one a lot. It's kind of one note in a way, but it plays that note really, really well. So, it's not in my top 10, but I did like it a lot for sure.
Cool.
The sequel is probably in my top 10 of whatever year that came out. Though.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Looked at that year yet. It was probably 2 years later or something, or maybe the next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll know when we get there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, moving on to your number 8, which should be fairly easy to talk about.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah.
Which is Room 237.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I'll try to keep it short, but I really love this movie. For one thing, I mean, The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time. In fact, it is in my top 5 films of all time. And I really like this movie because The Shining is a very strange movie, if you really think about it. It's a very strange movie. Stanley Kubrick puts a lot of really strange things in it that are open to interpretation. And actually, I think that what makes this movie so entertaining is that I also don't buy a lot of these theories, but the people talking about them are so passionate about them, and they point out these things constantly that don't necessarily make me go like, oh, what if Stanley Kubrick really did fake the moon landing and this movie was his way of telling us, which is ridiculous. But I really enjoy their passion and the craziness of the theories sometimes is what makes me laugh. Like the whole thing with someone who keeps seeing image of a minotaur in there, a face in the clouds. It's ridiculous, but I think it's also, it reminds me of how I would, stay up all night talking about movies with people, and you just break down these little minute details that are only in your own head. But I mean, there's something so interesting about that, to pick apart a movie to that level, especially a movie that makes it this easy to pick apart. And there are really strange things in there, like the impossible window. They go in detail about the window that's there that can't possibly be there geographically. Did Stanley Kubrick do that on purpose, or was it like an accident? Who knows? Why is Jack Nicholson reading like a Playgirl magazine in the lobby? Like that was an obvious. Like Stanley Kubrick never put anything in his movies without purpose, and like there was a conscious decision to make it a Playgirl and not a Playboy, and like why either one. So there's a lot of really strange things in that movie. Not that I give any credence to these theories. I just think it's entertaining to hear them talk about it. And the one that I do give credence to is the idea that, because I had actually thought of it before, is that the idea that it's partially about Native American deaths. And I always picked up on that theory. And I'm not going to go off on a tangent about it. But yeah, it's just, to me, I love watching The Shining. I love thinking about all the different weird things in that movie and seeing it broken down by people who are a little around the bend, I think, but entertainingly so, I guess. So, yeah, I love that movie. I wasn't sure if you would like it. Sorry you didn't, but yeah.
Yeah, I just came away with the same feeling that you came away with. I just found it to be, silly. So
yeah. Oh, it definitely is in a lot of ways, but I guess I like it.
Cool. All right, moving on to my number 7, which is going to be Marley. Basically, biography of Bob Marley. Basically, just chronicles his life. Bob Marley was a little bit before our time, I guess, if you will. I mean, we all know his music and that sort of stuff, but we weren't really around when he was, relevant. You know what I mean? We were infants, if that. Um, so I didn't know a lot about him, and I honestly didn't know anything about his death before I'd seen this film. Not a lot. I'd heard rumors about it, but I didn't know a lot about it. So it was a very interesting documentary for me because I didn't know a lot about him. I just knew the music and he's from Jamaica and, all that stuff that comes along with that. But it was really good to get a really good insight into, his lives, his beginnings, his kids, and, kind of what he was really all about and that sort of thing. So, so I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great documentary. Definitely one I would urge anybody that's a fan of reggae music or Bob Marley or just music in general to, or just a story about someone that's really interesting. Definitely would urge you to check out Marley. And that is my number 7 film.
Yeah, I think we saw that together, didn't we? No, wait. No.
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, that's a really good documentary. I'm a big fan of Bob Marley. I'm a big fan of documentaries. So yeah, and also I didn't know, I knew his music, but I didn't know a whole lot about him personally, and I don't even know if I knew for sure how he died. I didn't know that he was
what I mean. I didn't know how he
died.
Yeah, I wasn't for sure. I'd heard rumors that he had been shot on stage, and which is true, but I didn't realize that wasn't how he actually died. So, so
right.
I wasn't for sure. So,
right. Yeah, excellent movie.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Moving right along to your number 7. And I'll bring that in, and it's going to be Moonrise Kingdom.
Moonrise Kingdom. Yeah, I love Moonrise Kingdom. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I've loved almost all of his movies. This is probably somewhere in the middle if I was to rank it. I do really like it a lot. It's about two kids that basically run away together. That's the very, very broad outline. Being a Wes Anderson movie, it's filled out with all these colorful characters and who are kind of strange and weird in their own different ways. And it's got a great cast: Frances McDormand, Edward Norton, Bruce Willis. The one and only time I never would have imagined Bruce Willis being in a Wes Anderson movie, but he's actually really good in this movie. But yeah, it's just a really fun movie. If you're not a Wes Anderson fan, it's not going to change your mind because it's very Wes Anderson. But if you are a Wes Anderson fan, then you're going to tune in and enjoy it like you do probably most of his other movies. So yeah, Moonrise Kingdom, excellent movie.
Cool. Yeah, I love Moonrise Kingdom. In fact, it's my number 6 film, so we can just keep it right there, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Moonrise Kingdom, and I'm not the biggest Wes Anderson fan. He's a little hit or miss for me. I like some of his movies better than others, but this one's definitely for me. It's actually in the upper echelon for me. But I definitely like this one. It's really quirky, like all of his films are. So like you said, you kind of have to almost be in the Wes Anderson camp in order to really enjoy that, the quirkiness and nuances of it. Some people don't get into that. I do know people that just aren't fans of him at all. Like I said, I'm hit or miss with him, but I definitely enjoyed this one quite a bit, and that's why it's a little bit up, one spot up from yours, basically. So, but cool, yeah, great choice, great film. You're only off by 1 place, so congratulations to you for only being off by 1.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, that was simple and easy. So then we can just roll right into your number 6, and I'll bring that in, which is Silver Lining Playbook.
Yep, Silver Linings Playbook. Most people should know this movie. It was nominated for a million Oscars. It was a big hit. This movie totally took me by surprise. Not that I didn't think I would like it, because I'm a big fan of the director, David O. Russell. He's made a lot of really good movies. I guess I just wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. But this is a movie that I think I saw in the theater like 5 times, I think, because I kept wanting to go back and take people I know. It's like I wanted to take my brother. I wanted to take my mom. I wanted to take, everybody, because I really, really liked it a lot. And yeah, it's been a while since I watched it, because after you watch a movie 5-6 times, you can probably let it sit for a little while. But it's probably due a rewatch for sure. But yeah, it's a movie. Bradley Cooper, he's got mental illness, right? If I remember right. This sounds bad because I'm talking about how good it is, and then I don't remember the details. But
he had like a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
After his basically his wife, he catches her basically cheating on him, and has a mental breakdown from that. Basically, I would say
Right.
she has a mental illness as well, though. Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
They both have issues, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I know some people have, criticized it as being, not realistic or, dismissive of mental illness. And, it's a movie. It's a movie, and I think it's a really good movie. And they're both really good in it. Robert De Niro is really good in it. The whole cast. Chris Tucker, it was great to see. You don't see Chris Tucker that much these days, but it's good to see him wherever he pops up.
Yeah, outside of a
and
film. So,
yeah. So
well, that's what he
it's
wanted
just
to do was rush hour films for the most part. So
yeah, it's good to see him pop up in something that's kind of atypical. For this is not the kind of movie that he normally does. Like
because he plays a mental patient as well. Because basically Bradley Cooper has a nervous breakdown and is in a mental institution because of his nervous breakdown, and he's also he's also in there with them as well. So, but yeah, it's based about mental illness, if anything. So,
yeah. But it's just it's an excellent movie. It's just an excellent movie. The acting is great. The dialogue is great. It's kind of a little bit of a holiday film, yeah, it's just a really good movie. It's just a really good movie. Period. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. It's quite a ways up in my countdown, so it'll be on the next show.
Yeah, I figured.
I definitely love Silver Lining Playbook. It's like I said, it was one of my favorite movies of that year. And what I really liked about it is the previous year, and it was in our other top 10. Bradley Cooper is in crap. What's the name of the other movie now? I just forgot. It's on my tongue. But he's in that movie playing like this really like confident with the pill.
Limitless.
Limitless.
Right?
He plays like this more confident, super intelligent, smart guy. And then this film comes out the next year, and he plays like this like mental, nervous breakdown, unconfident, unsure of himself guy. And so I thought it was a pretty good contrast from film to film, So definitely shows that he can act and play, multiple different roles and wasn't going to be typecasted and that kind of stuff. So, great. Great film. Like I said, definitely we'll be talking more about that in the second show as well. So
yeah, and honestly, I will say that like I love it probably almost as much as you do. It's just like this is one of those years where it was actually hard to make the top 10. Like the last couple that we've done, it was not that hard.
Yeah,
this 2012 was pretty good.
And I've rearranged the order. This is the first year where I really had to go through and shuffle the order around based on how many times I've seen the films, because I had to rewatch them the films to even get the placement of it. But there were really, really good films in there in that year.
Right.
Jennifer Lawrence is in another really, really good film in this year as well. So, but yeah, it was a really tough year. There's some really, really good films that are going to come up in my top half that I really, really love. So for sure.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, that's our bottom half of our show. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Let us know down in the comments, your take on it. Do you like these films? Would you rank them higher, lower? Let us know in the comments. Obviously, we didn't touch on a film that you love. Stick around for the next show or come watch the next show, because we'll definitely have more discussions and more films from that year that we like even more so. We thank you for watching. We ask that you like, obviously comment, subscribe if you like the channel, and we'll be back again with another show for you guys again real soon. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.
Bye.